The way to tap into that space, the way to find that space, to get the answers, is to sit in that silence. Meditation, sensory deprivation, creating a flow state and allowing that flow state to create a feeling and allowing that feeling to guide you in future and, past experiences, and draw from that in order to optimize and to ultimately let go, which is the goal, I think, right? The goal is to let go of things that hold you back. The goal is to let go and trust, right? Jesus, take the wheel, if you will. Trust in the cosmos. Trust in God. Trust in whatever you believe in. Trust in yourself. Whatever it is, there has to be this element eventually of letting go. How are you? Welcome to the Vinny Brasco Show podcast, a little solo episode. If you're enjoying the podcast, do me a favor, subscribe, rate, and review. Spread the word, tell a friend. It helps with the algorithm. It helps with all the stuff I don't know about, but apparently it's very important. So subscribe, rate, and review the podcast right down below. Go and do that. Thank you very much. Helps me get guests, more awareness, and hopefully puts me in a position to do this full time. So help a brother out, if you will. Thank you very much.
And here we go.
I recently just wrapped up reading Letting Go. I don't know if you can see it there. The Pathway of Surrender by Dr. David R. Hawkins. And a lot to unpack in this book. It's a heavy book. I usually read right before bed, and I try to get in half hour, 45 minutes, and quantum physics and things of that nature before bed are not the most palatable things to read. So I picked up this book, and it's a little dense. It starts very dense, but once I was able to pick up on like the rhythm of the book and like the cadence of the book, I felt a little bit more in tune to it, and I got through it, and it was a pleasurable read. The idea is multifaceted, right? The idea of letting go. What does that even mean? And there are so many parts of this book that dive into letting go of who you are and leaning into who you want to be. And letting go, or any type of journey inward, takes a certain level of awareness to start. And then there is this eventual letting go. But I think one of the big takeaways from this book for me was the power of the subconscious mind. And he dives into a whole bunch of different scenarios and stories and research based off the subconscious mind. And one thing that really stood out to me was the idea of people who have multiple personality disorders, and how each individual personality will have different types of eyesight. So one personality might be 20/20, and the other personality might have horrible vision. And he goes into other stories of doctors who have healed themselves by just kind of reverse engineering their illness. He also speaks about how hypnotizing people to thinking that they have allergies and they're allergic to roses, and they would actually set up a fake bouquet of roses in the lobby of the hypnosis office, and the people would walk by and start sneezing. So it goes to show you how powerful the subconscious mind actually is. And there are different layers to us, right? We in meditation especially, and in the sensory deprivation tank, which I'm a huge advocate for and have floated countless amounts of times, there is this layer of letting go, and there is this layer to breakthrough. That's what so many people talk about when they say, well, I can't meditate. I don't know how to meditate. And it is a letting go and allowing your mind to do what your mind is made to do at first. Your mind is made to protect you. Your mind is made to organize everything, or your brain and your mind, however you want to combine those two or interchange those two. They're a little bit different, but they're also the same. So your brain and your mind are constantly looking to problem solve and figure things out and remember. And I was looking through my children's encyclopedia book, and they're talking about all the things that your body does consciously and subconsciously. And it's amazing. Like when you really stop and think about the mind and the body and everything that's going on at once, it's really fucking amazing. Like it is really mind-blowing. And a huge part of this book is the idea of letting go of all of these things, letting go and getting past the layers of yourself, both physically, mentally, spiritually, if you will, and diving into yourself and getting deeper and deeper and deeper. And so much of our own hiccups, delays, self-sabotage, any of these things that reset us from achieving our goals and achieving what we're looking to achieve is just due to our own subconscious mind and our own traumas. And they store in different places of the body and they store in different layers of the mind. And if you can dive into yourself, and I really do think it starts with like simple meditation or sensory deprivation or whatever it is. And it becomes a feeling, it becomes an energetic chi of mind, body, and spirit, and allowing those three things to kind of feed each other and work in conjunction with each other, because then one starts to feed the other. And then you're no longer developing these different layers of yourself out of ego or out of pride or out of even fear. You're just diving into these layers of yourself and allowing yourself to learn ultimately who you are and what you are. And he dives into so many different aspects of it. So many things highlighted in here, things like healthy pride. Like, what is having healthy pride? What does that mean? Is that self-esteem? Is healthy, he kind of uses those interchangeably a little bit. Is that an inner awareness, having a healthy sense of pride? Because pride can be a motherfucker. Pride can take you down if you're too proud, right? But what is having a healthy relationship with pride? Because there's also an element of pride that you need. You need to have a sense of pride to walk around the world. You don't want to be a limp dick. You want to have a little bit of pride to yourself. But what is that relationship with pride? Where does that stem from? And how do you create a healthy pride? How do you have a healthy relationship with your pride? And is it something like he refers to it as healthy pride? When we talk of healthy pride, we are referring to self-esteem and an inner awareness of one's truth, value, and worth. That sounds like pride to me. That sounds like a healthy relationship you can have with pride. I really enjoyed this book. It was brilliant. It was, like I said, at first, some tough meat to chew. I mean, again, I read before bed. So trying to read this book a half hour before you're falling asleep at first was very tough. It was a tough chew to dive into. But once I started getting, again, the momentum of the book and kind of picking up on his language and his tone and the cadence of it, it became a lot easier. And what I like about it is the idea if he goes back and forth. He's not afraid to step into like the chakra world and not afraid to step into the woo-woo. And he does it very often, but he also brings up some science behind it. So it is that balance of science with spirituality, which is such a razor's edge to walk on, because so many people poo-poo the woo-woo and then they poo-poo the science. But there is, it's the chicken or the egg. What came first, the science or the woo-woo? What is behind it all? And for me, it is that balance, right? We have the science to now back the woo-woo, and we have the woo-woo that backs that affirms and backs the science. And those two kind of are working with each other. And, I guess, depending on how far down the rabbit hole you'd like to go, right? You could stop at one, right? You could stop at the science, or you could keep on going into the woo-woo and keep on going back and forth and break it down to neurological pathways and synapses and neurons and really break it down. But then there's always another layer, right? And I think he does an amazing job of diving into those layers and diving into what is eventually diving into the self and self-actualization and going into the inner layers of yourself and reviewing and reverse engineering who and what you are. And I think that's something that we all come up against at different parts of our lives. Who are you? What are you? What is the purpose? And when you dive into those questions, you start to ask yourself those questions, it's very hard to have answers, but the answers are all intrinsically within you and they all reside within yourself. And from my experience, the way to tap into that space, the way to find that space, to get the answers, is to sit in that silence. Meditation, sensory deprivation, creating a flow state and allowing that flow state to create a feeling and allowing that feeling to guide you in future and, past experiences, and draw from that in order to optimize and to ultimately let go, which is the goal, I think, right? The goal is to let go of the things that hold you back. The goal is to let go and trust, right? Jesus, take the wheel, if you will. Trust in the cosmos, trust in God, trust in whatever you believe in, trust in yourself. Whatever it is, there has to be this element eventually of letting go. And for me, this book has done that a little bit. I definitely walked away from this book feeling like, all right, you have to do what you have to do. There's no question of that. And I've always felt that way. There's a letting go element, but you need these reminders. You need these reminders to lean into yourself, show up for yourself, and ultimately trust yourself and allow yourself to let go. So I recommend it. Pick it up, Letting Go by Dr. David R. Hawkins. Grab it, read it. Let me know what you think of it. Until next time, much love. Peace.